Today, we're going to dive into a story about Kashmir that's all about a huge promise and an even bigger peril. You see, the region is literally sitting on a mineral fortune, a treasure that could seriously boost its economy. But, and this is a big but, getting to that wealth is coming at a steep and maybe irreversible cost to its most precious resource, water. So how did a land known for its abundance end up on the brink of a water crisis? Well, let's start with the Kashmir we all think we know.
For centuries, when you heard the word Kashmir, you probably pictured natural abundance. It's this beautiful, fertile valley, right? Cradled by snow-capped mountains, famous for its apples, its saffron, its rice. Its entire identity is just deeply connected to the land and the water that feeds it.
And hey, this isn't just some poetic image. The government's own industrial profile says it loud and clear. Kashmir is an agricultural powerhouse, a total cornerstone of India's horticulture. This is the baseline, right? The traditional economy that's kept the region going for generations. But that reality is changing, and it's changing fast.
Because for a lot of people living there, that picture of a fertile paradise, well, it's fading. And in its place, a new, much harsher image is emerging. We're talking cracked earth, dry riverbeds, and fields that just can't be planted anymore. The very lifeblood of this valley, its rivers and streams, are in serious trouble.
This right here, this is the human cost. It's all summed up in this one heartbreaking sentence from a farmer named Muhammad Ashraf. And his story, it's becoming tragically common. So what on earth is going on? To really get it, we need to look beneath the soil.
So, it turns out the government of Jammu and Kashmir sees a totally different kind of wealth in the region, a buried treasure, if you will, and they're chasing an economic strategy that's built on one thing: digging up the vast mineral resources that lie right underground.
And the scale of this treasure? It's absolutely staggering. Just look at these numbers. We're talking about over 3,000 million metric tons of limestone, nearly 96 million metric tons of gypsum, and millions of tons of bauxite and marble. This is a massive, untapped economic engine just waiting to be turned on.
You can see this mindset clear as day in the state's industrial profile. It actually describes water itself as being just like oil reserves. Think about that. This perspective sees nature not just as a source of life, but as a source of revenue, a commodity to be exploited. And that's what's driving this whole strategy of large-scale extraction.
And this strategy. It is not just a plan on paper. Oh no, it is in full swing. The last few years have seen a massive explosion in mining operations all across the valley. A real gold rush for sand, gravel, and all sorts of other minerals.
Just get a load of this number. In 2022-23 alone, over 11 lakh metric tons of minor minerals were dug up. But here's the really crucial part, the thing that tells the whole story. This is more than double the amount that was extracted just the year before. The pace is absolutely frantic. So what's behind this sudden surge? Well, it's mostly being fueled by huge infrastructure projects. Think about the construction of the Delhi-Katra motorway, for example. A project like that needs enormous amounts of sand and gravel, creating this massive demand that's being met by, you guessed it, digging up Kashmir's riverbeds. But here's where it gets really concerning. This whole boom is happening with a blatant disregard for the rules. The law is crystal clear. Mining deeper than 3 meters, that's about 10 feet, is banned. Why? To protect the river ecosystem. The reality on the ground? Reports show operations are digging as deep as 50 feet. They're piercing the very fabric of the river systems. And all of this unchecked extraction is kicking off a severe and cascading environmental crisis. It's threatening the very lifelines of the entire valley.
At the heart of this whole problem is riverbed mining. See, when you remove sand and gravel on this kind of industrial scale, you're not just taking some rocks out of a river. You are fundamentally changing the hydrology, the plumbing, basically, of the entire region. You're changing how the river flows, where the water goes, and who actually gets to use it.
And this, in turn, sets off a devastating chain reaction. So first, the riverbeds get gouged out, which makes the channels way deeper. This causes the water level to drop, so it can't reach the old irrigation canals that farmers have depended on for centuries. Then the deeper digging actually punctures the shallow aquifers, draining the groundwater reserves. And the final, terrible result? Springs run dry, and whole communities lose their access to water.
Now, this isn't just an ecological problem, it's a massive economic one. The damage just ripples outward, hitting the entire water-dependent economy. Farmers growing apples and rice lose their irrigation,
The famous trout fisheries of the Veshev River are getting choked with silt, their breeding grounds totally destroyed. And yeah, while some people find short-term jobs in mining, the long-term foundations of the whole region's economy are literally being washed away.
Which brings us to the central, most important question. What is the true cost of all this progress? Because when you start to weigh the short-term cash against the long-term damage, the numbers tell a really startling story.
Okay, this is where the economic logic just completely falls apart. Check out this comparison. Over 5 years, mining generated about 181 crore rupees in revenue. Now, in just one of those years, Kashmir's apple industry was worth, wait for it, 8,000 crore rupees. The very industry that this mining threatens is over 40 times more valuable every single year.
So let's be crystal clear about what this means. This new economic model based on extraction is directly sabotaging a far larger, more sustainable economy that depends on a healthy ecosystem. The very foundation of Kashmir's agricultural wealth is being sold off for pennies on the dollar.
Which of course leads to the one unavoidable question we all have to ask. Is this trade-off really worth it? Are the short-term gains from getting construction materials worth risking the long-term food security and economic stability of an entire region?
Maybe the final thought here should come from a hydrogeologist, Dr. Sarah Quasi. She warns that by destroying what are called recharge zones, these are the areas where rivers and rain actually refill the groundwater, we risk leaving a broken system for the next generation. Her point is just so powerful. The choice here isn't just about balancing budgets for next year, it's about what kind of ecosystem and what kind of economy will be left for the future.